Here we go. This is a conversation between Derek from More Plates, More Dates and Chris Williamson on increasing testosterone. I haven't seen this video before. I'm really excited to see what tips they recommend. I mean, I did have really bad testosterone issues when I was 16. My balls shriveled up. I stopped producing testosterone entirely. I had erectile dysfunction for like a year. It wasn't from steroid use. It was from like lack of salt, adrenal fatigue, dietary issues, just like diet can be complicated. It's wrestling, adrenal fatigue. Tanked my testosterone though, and I had to like restart it in a very similar way to the Christopher Walker. I used a lot of his protocols at the time to do that. But let's see what these guys have to say about testosterone.
Let's say someone's listening and they go, this Brian guy doesn't seem like my bag. Don't want to take an ass full of steroids. I want to get myself to as healthy a level of testosterone naturally using lifestyle, a diet, and maybe non-clinical supplementation as I can. What's the prescription? This is not
That is also my goal too.
medical advice.
Oh my god, dude, that's so general. I could.
What would you do if you were to say?
I would be like,
what are the principles that people should follow?
I would
I know
say
why he says it's general. It's not specifically targeting any individual. It's just like, how do I, but I'm not going to tell you anything about me, increase my testosterone? Definitely need more data.
getting to bed at the same time every night, ideally, and waking up at the same time every morning, following your circadian rhythm. You know, as it starts to get dark, you start to wind down. You get to bed at an adequate time, hopefully around, depending on where you live, your schedule, etc. But ideally, no later than like 11 or 12. Getting up as the sun's coming up. It's not always going to be perfect like that, but I mean, just following your circadian rhythm in general very, very much aligns with the diurnal rhythm that your like pulsatile secretion of hormones would follow. And when you start to
This is very accurate. This also helps me sleep really well.
manipulate that in like an artificial way and trying to, I don't know, putting yourself in situations that are not conducive to high quality sleep. It's, bright outside and you're trying to go to bed or whatever. You don't have blackout blinds. Like there are ways to try and hack it. But at the end of the day, I think that even when I track my sleep metrics, when I go to bed at 10 p.m. versus 2 a.m., like it's a dramatic difference in terms of quality, I feel like, in general.
I feel like the biggest difference is in how well I have sex.
And I don't think anyone actually has a full clear answer on that, by the way, because I've asked guys like Huberman and stuff about if I go to bed at 2 a.m., but I sleep 8 hours and I have blackout blinds and I optimize everything, could I get the same health outcomes as if I was,
I have answers to that because I've done all that.
Dialed in like 9:30 p.m. sleeper.
Well, what would be the difference between that and just going to...
The answer is that you want to time it with the sun because the sun is one of the best triggers of circadian rhythm. So if you just align yourself with the sun, you're working with nature, it's going to be easier because I've tried every sleep schedule. I literally tried the Uberman sleep schedule, biphasic sleeping, polyphasic sleeping. I'll make a video on that at some point.
To another time zone, basically. The only thing you would maybe do is restrict the amount of daylight on the back end because obviously nighttime is going to arrive sooner if you've got up a little bit later. So you're going to restrict the amount of daylight that you got. But even if you could compensate with that by going, right, okay, I'm going to overexpose myself to sunlight during the day or to daylight, then yeah, that would be interesting.
Like your body's pretty intuitive, and oftentimes I think it knows better than you do. Like when people try and hack their body, sometimes they're fighting against something.
That's why I don't take TRT. Sorry, Derek.
Something that is not leading to an optimal outcome when they could have otherwise just been following the common principles of go to bed at a good time, after the sun goes down, get up at the same time every morning, sort of following, the normal circadian rhythm that a human should follow. I'm not saying you have to do it, but that's what I would generally recommend.
Okay, that's sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep is sorted. What else is someone doing? Optimal testosterone, naturally.
A good proportion of like not depriving yourself entirely of fats in your diet, because some people will very much, especially in the fitness space, will go protein, carbs. They very much want to try and hit their body weight in protein, and then they'll have carbs, but then they will neglect fat content, which can be detrimental to testosterone, and that's often overlooked even when people are eating adequate
I find cycling my macronutrients is the best for my metabolism and testosterone.
calories. They are sometimes depriving themselves of basic things like one macronutrient entirely or micronutrient density.
That works for me really well. Carnivore works really well, but eventually I do end up needing carbs because decreased T3 hormone due to reduced luteinizing hormone and goitrophine releasing hormone because of the lack of glucose to trigger those. But Still great testosterone until that ends up happening, which takes like 8 months to a year.
Like one of the things I do is
That's probably a seasonal thing. Like carnivore for protein types is probably a seasonal thing, and it's probably just so there's protein types, carbo types, and mixed types, but we won't get into that. I want to hear more about this. But eating in line with your metabolic type is also going to make you have the highest testosterone. But this isn't really well understood, so people just kind of give general dietary prescriptions like he's doing.
is I plug my diet into this thing called Chronometer. It's kind of like MyFitnessPal, but it's more comprehensive in that it breaks down all of the micronutrients.
I don't use it anymore because I use principles. Ultimately, I found Chronometer was good, but I had points in time where my diet was all messed up, and Chronometer said it was perfect. And it's just I'll probably make a better app at some point.
Nutrients and minerals of your foods.
But Chronometer is very good though, so shout out to Chronometer. You guys did everything we could ever hope.
So it shows what vitamins and minerals you're deficient in of your diet model, and then you can then backfill accordingly based on what you're deficient in.
Wow.
So that is typically what I would recommend too, because if you don't have the cofactors and substrate to actually produce the hormones, even if you're eating.
I mean, I don't know how much Derek actually. So this is when people like recommend stuff, but they're on synthetic hormones. It kind of just bums me out because I don't know how much their advice means. Like Derek, Dave Asprey, like these people, like they're on TRT. So I'm just like, you don't even know how to make your own body produce hormones. So why would you claim to be an authority on how to eat for testosterone production when you don't even make your own testosterone? Like, not in an attacking way. I'm just curious because, like, that's not what you're doing. You're doing something else. But you're probably definitely much better at messing with your testosterone exogenously than I am.
What you consider to be a good diet, it might be deficient in adequate zinc, or it might be deficient in adequate bioavailable B vitamins or whatever. Like, it would be worthwhile to kind of at least one time, like, flesh out, if you follow a consistent diet.
Damn, my elbow's hurting. I banged it in jiu-jitsu. Just get these random dings, they go away, but I fight people, so it's kind of to be expected. My doctor said that I'm right to ignore it. My doctor's also my wrestling coach, so nice.
What does that yield in terms of all of the vitamins and minerals, and is that satisfactory for optimal hormone output?
My doctor is my wrestling coach from high school.
And that's where you can then determine, like, actually.
He's so fit that he could still, like, he'd beat me in wrestling now. It's because I predominantly train jiu-jitsu. I'm still really good at wrestling, and he'd still beat me. He's just a master. Dude's awesome. Shout out to Steve Bodwin.
Full targeted supplementation. Because oftentimes people are blindly taking shit like, oh, I think I need zinc, so I'll just take this.
They're compensating for...
Huge. That's huge. And a lot of taking too many supplements, his face is funny, a lot of taking too many supplements is metabolic issues. I've found that is pretty much always the case.
Malnutrition in one form or another with supplementation.
If you need to. Like, obviously food,
Also, heavy metals. If you have too many heavy metals in your body, that can cause your body to malabsorb supplements, or nutrients from food, and so can gut dysbiosis.
Foods is, in general, I would say, going to be better. But it depends, because some people don't want to eat more. Some people have goals that are, body fat related, and they want to maybe even restrict calories. And at that point, you might be cutting something out that was hitting your micronutrient allotment for some specific thing. And that's where you would then supplement potentially.
So there is a tension between calories in and the micronutrients, that you begin to cut calories to the point where you can't eat enough to be able to get the micronutrients.
I actually never lose weight by cutting calories. I increase calories and increase metabolism, and then vary my macros while alternating fasting as my body wants. That's how I lose weight. I always try to increase my metabolism to lose weight and never cut calories because it's just silly.
Depending.
Like, you know what I mean? Like a cheetah is like really lean. Like a tiger is really lean. They don't like cut calories. They just kill more things and eat them.
On what your goals are. Because again, some people don't care about getting, as lean as you, for example.
Come on. Okay, so we've got food, we've got sleep. What else? What else is in there as the big movers for testosterone production?
Like, as far as environmental stressors and whatnot, it's hard for me to quantify, like, the chlorine in your fucking shower is killing your test. Like, I don't know for sure, but I would probably hedge against.
Have you got a special filter in your shower? Do you?
Yeah.
What brand is it? Do you know?
I don't know, dude.
But you can just search like chlorine filter, shower head chlorine filter or something, or is this?
Yeah, probably. Like you could probably vet out a good one with a little bit of research. Don't rely on me for that. I don't even know if mine's the best one, but I remember when I was looking for it, it seemed to be like I would very much do a lot of the same research as other people are thinking. Like, okay, YouTube, who do I trust in the industry that otherwise has made videos on this content and has otherwise already dissected the literature? Okay, does that guy know what he's talking about? Okay, let me cross-reference it against a couple other people that I trust and are educated. Boom, and then you kind of create a conclusive, educated guess as to what is the best. Do they have monetary upside from promoting this thing? Are they sponsored? Blah, blah, blah. Go look at the Amazon reviews. Does it look favorable? You know, obviously stuff can be manipulated. You can't ever fully trust anything, I guess. But I mean, you just do your due diligence and try and do what you can. What
other environmental factors apart from chlorine?
Yeah, like that was a hyper-specific example. Off the top of my head, like I know, I don't know how impactful the receipts thing is.
Stop touching receipts, son. Yeah. That's what I'm telling you.
So that, I guess. What else? Cooking in like plastics I think is something that could be impactful.
Cooking in plastics?
Not cooking, like heating stuff up and like storing stuff in plastics, drinking out of plastic bottles, not ideal.
Yep. Okay, we are killing ourselves.
I'm traveling. Yeah. I would normally have a glass bottle. But
one thing that I found is a really nice solution for that. A bunch of different companies make glass Tupperware, plastic lid, glass sides, which I'm going to guess is mostly okay because the food's not going to be touching the top.
Yeah, all my prep meals are in glass containers.
Really nice, super easy to clean, don't smell as much. If you do end up leaving it for a few days, you don't feel like, oh God, it's infused into the container now and I've permanently got this sort of moldy residue that's going to be in there. Steel shakers for using protein and whatnot. Probably some sort of cooler as well would be steel. Be interested to know. I'm going to guess that he had one of the product development managers at that.
What you're talking about?
I'm getting kind of bored with this.
Come on now. Come on. You're Canadian. Come on.
Do I say stuff weird sometimes?
Bits and pieces. Like walking through Whole Foods with a bunch of friends.
Okay, I think they're basically done with. Wait.
Does this help? Maybe I should totally change this area of my life because peak hormone output, 21, 25 years old, have some sort of baseline profile that is comprehensive. So then if something goes awry, you can then go
genetically predisposed to being polite. But
sorry,
the fucking metal that's in the drink, right? The metal that's in the Zevia can is they've looked at formulating that in different ways. So people are certainly coming around to it. But I was walking through Whole Foods with a bunch of friends that are big into the health and fitness, anti-seed oil, anti-estrogens in everything, etc., etc. And I was like, what about that? Can I have that? And they were like, no, can't have that, can't have that, can't have that. I was like, what about those candles over there? And they said, no, full of estrogens, can't have that. Fucking incense over there, that's got it in. So
if you actually wanted to adequately assess the impact of these things, though, like, again, how impactful are they at the end of the day? Like, even things like your lifestyle, your exercise regimen, all super impactful above and beyond the sleep, the diet, the exposure to all these toxins, etc.
Biggest variable.
Doing blood work, I think, is absolutely warranted to have a baseline as early as possible where it's, your peak hormone output, 21, 25 years old, have some sort of baseline profile that is comprehensive. So then if something goes awry, you can then go back and identify where there are deficiencies, imbalances, etc., what went wrong and why. So some of these exposures to whatever it is that's detrimental to testosterone or lackluster, fill in the blank, if you change that, you could then get blood work done to assess, is my gonadotropin output now sufficient compared to before if it was suboptimal? And you can see pretty clearly, like, rather than being speculative about, does this help? Maybe I should totally change this area of my life because it might be suboptimal. Like, there are some things that might be, you don't want to do, that you think are going to be conducive to better hormones, and maybe it has no impact whatsoever. And at that point, you could go get a basic testosterone test.
MarrickHealth.com.
You could go there. That would be a worthwhile place to go.
I'll do your ad reads for you.
No, thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, basically, I agree with his advice. Could have gone a little bit deeper, but solid advice, and basically listen to your body. Yeah, pay attention to all these things. Pay attention to the toxins. Good advice, Derek. Good advice, Chris William. Great people.